guys, I hope you're all well. Today I'll be doing a look inspired by Adam Lambert, and this is the look that he wore to the Grammys just a few days ago. It's a very kind of dark and rocky, grungy kind of look, but it does have a nice pop of colour and light blue. I was actually thinking about doing light green because my eyes are green, whereas he had the blue because his eyes are blue, and it made them really stand out, especially with the khol rim. This is a very good look to do if you have very kind of hooded eyes. My eyes are quite hooded, but I have a bit more lid than he does, whereas when he looks straight ahead, you can only really see this portion of his inner lids here, and the outer lids are completely obscured. So for him, it's a very good way to wear a little bit of colour, so you'll be able to see it, but it's still done in a pretty subtle way. And I know this is a look that a guy did, so yeah, be nice guys, no rude comments about that, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So the first thing I've done is darken out my eyebrows. Now Adam has really dark hair, like black hair and black eyebrows, which I don't, so I've made mine a much darker brown than I normally do. I hope you guys can tell that. And I use just a very, very dark matte brown eyeshadow. I don't want to use black because I think it will just look too stark on my skin tone and too much of a contrast with my hair, but I have made it much darker brown so you can kind of see the look that we're going for. I've already applied Urban Decay Prime Potion to my lid. First colour I'm going to be using is Steep from MAC, which I've used quite a lot recently. It's a great colour for blending, especially if you have quite a light skin tone. So I'm just going to pop some of that on a dense eyeshadow brush. This is a Sephora eyeshadow brush. It came with a set. Just bring that all over the lid and almost all the way to the brow bone. This will really help blending when we put down our colours later. And I could see that it was slightly kind of peachy brown up by his brow bone, so that's why I wanted to put this colour down first. After that I'm going to be taking Wedge, which you've all seen a million times. I use this in about 80% of my looks. It's a great colour, and I'm going to put that on the lid and then kind of start blending it up towards the crease a little. You don't have to be neat at all, we're just kind of darkening up the area, and we're using transitions of colours just because his look, it's almost like he woke up and it was that colour. It's very much worn in, well blended. And because he has such deep set hooded eyes, it's quite hard to tell what colours were on his actual lid. So I'm kind of trying to improvise. On the lid itself, I'm going to be popping a little bit of Mythology eyeshadow. Just that one right there. It's kind of a bronzy brown with some shimmers in it. You don't want this to go too high up. We're just popping this on the lid, darken it up, add a little bit of sparkle. And then we're taking the same Mythology shadow on a 219 and we're popping that underneath the eye, where on one picture I could definitely see that there was some bronze smudged in there. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a Q-tip and just blend the edges. Now we're actually going to do our eyeliner. For this I'm using MAC Feline Kohl Power Pencil. Use any black smudgy kohl pencil you want, and we want to line the inner lid on top and along the lower lash line. So I'm going to start with the lower portion. Just line my waterline. You can see how dark and black this colour is. And then if you don't like tight lining above, you can just blink and quite a lot of the colour will transfer. But I like to just top it up and go in between the lashes. And I'm going to do our top line. This does not have to be precise at all. The whole look is kind of grungy, rocky, smudgy, so you really don't worry about it. But make sure you line the inner part of the tear duct here. So you can see that he's got that really, really black. And also make sure to go in between the lashes. So it's all very, very black and there are no gaps. And then we're going to take our 219 and start just smudging it out a little bit. You don't want to bring the black too far down, but you definitely want to smudge it out nicely. Same with the top, we're just smudging along the line. And then if you want to add a little bit more Mythology, if you feel like the black's gone over it too much, just add a touch more. Now what we're going to do is just do that inner blue pod that he has. For this I'm using the Jumbo eyeshadow pencil from NYX, and I'm just going to pop a tiny amount of that in the inner corner here. This is just going to act as a base, just so that the blue shows up brighter, and also will help it stick there. Just going to tap it in on my finger. And then for the blue I'm using a BarryM Dazzledust in number 20. I'm just using whatever's in the cap with a small lip brush from Lancome. Just pick up a little bit of that and start just pressing it in. This is why we needed to have that tear duct lined, just so it goes all the way around and connects the eye, even though there's blue there. And you want to put it so that when you open your eyes it's just visible here, as you can see, and right on the inner corner. You don't want too much of it, so I'm just going to take and blend the edges of my 217. Now for our highlight, he doesn't really have much of a highlight, the brown goes up quite far. So what I'm going to do is to use a creamy eyeshadow, and I'm using MAC's Vanilla, which looks very, very subtle. I'm taking that on a slanted brush from the Body Shop, it's quite a large one, and all I'm going to do is just kind of place it underneath the brow. And because this brush is very thin and stiff and sharp, it's just going to create that line, which will make the eyebrows look even more polished. Just add a little bit of a highlight. And after that I'm just taking my 217 and I'm going to blend the edges. You want this to be very subtle. And now the last step is just adding mascara. You want a really dark volumizing mascara. And I am using Makeup Forever Smoky Lash in black. With such a thick eyeliner, sometimes your lashes can get lost. And in the picture I can see that he's wearing a lot of mascara but no false eyelashes. And there we have our Adam Lambert inspired smoky look that he wore to the Grammys this week. Now for my cheeks, I could see that he wasn't really wearing much blush, it was just a lot of bronzer. So I used some NARS Laguna bronzer to contour, and on top of that I put some MAC Harmony blush just to add that kind of peachy orange hue that he has in his skin. And on his lips they were quite natural but quite glossy, so I used first of all the Pink Fish tinted lip conditioner from MAC just to moisturise because they looked really, really nice and sheer. But to add the extra glossiness on top, I used the Illamasqua sheer lip gloss in Rouse. So yeah, that's it for the look. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!